Hello, everyone. And so here we go again, the second episode in our new series on education. I'm Dr. David Hopkins. I'm your host and your guide. And after nearly 10 months off the mic, I'm back with season 3. And this time we're going at higher education, as I mentioned in the last episode. For those of you who know me, this is my home turf. I've been teaching and continue to teach in the system after 25 years. So welcome to the podcast, or welcome back. This season, we don't just talk about education. We're going to interrogate it. We're going to analyze it, and we are going to rip it apart, only when necessary, of course. From college selection to career pivots, from debt-free degrees to AI in the workplace, maximizing your time in college in a way that won't just get you drunk at a tailgate kegger, but will jumpstart your future wealth and career opportunities. And this season, it's your guide through the real world maze of learning, earning, and building a future that makes sense. So I've wanted to do this for a while, so I decided to just go ahead and do it. Because let's be honest, college is a high stakes game that you just cannot afford to leave to chance or your feelings or just following the crowd. The rules have changed since I went to college many, many years ago, and the system is bloated. And if you're not making strategic moves, you're probably being taken advantage of. So if you're a student or a parent or somewhere lost in the wilderness of what in the world you should even do with your life's next steps, and staring at college like it's some dangerous beast, this season's for you. I promise we will take on everything from attending to college to possibly even finding a path outside of college. I have something for everyone in this season. And even though I've worked in higher education, as I said, as an instructor, as an academic advisor, as an administrator, I've worked in academic publishing. I'm not going to hold anything back in this series. So let's go ahead and do this. Imagine this. You walk into that car dealership and you know what you need. You need a reliable, affordable transportation. You're thinking about gas mileage. You're thinking about that monthly payment, your insurance. You've got a plan when you head onto that car dealership's floor, but the salesman he comes over and he's with a very slick smile and a perfect fade, and he says, "You've worked so hard. You deserve more than just plain old reliable. Don't you actually want to love your ride?" And before you know it, you're test driving a brand new car with Bluetooth, leather seat, sunroof that you'll maybe use twice a year. You smell that oh so wonderful new car smell. Who does not find that intoxicating? And something in your brain rewires. Logic leaves you. Your ego takes the wheel. And when you sign the papers, you're not just buying transportation anymore. You're buying a feeling. And that's exactly how the college experience, the quote unquote college experience, gets sold to millions of high school graduates and young adults. So before I get to college, let's just talk about this thing. It's known as the lizard brain. And it really is. It's that primitive part of your mind, in my mind, that is wired for survival, for instinct, and immediate gratifications. It does not care about logic or reason. It does not do spreadsheets. What it does do is feelings. It's that part of you that says, boy, this campus just feels right. I love the vibe here. Oh, these dorms, they just look so much better. Guess what? The university marketing departments know exactly how to feed that beast. They don't sell you education. They sell you emotion. They craft the music, the lighting, the tour guide scripts, the Instagram ads, all to hit your lizard brain like dopamine, like a dopamine IV drip. You're not evaluating an academic institution most of the time. You're being seduced by a feeling. And when that happens, rational decision making takes a back seat. You stop asking hard questions like, What's the return on investment of this degree? How much debt am I taking on? Will this school give me a strategic edge in the job market in some way? And instead, you're focused on the student union, the Starbucks, the climbing wall, the cute downtown district nearby, the ivy on the walls. That's not college planning. That's emotional spending. And when your future is on the line, when you're about to sign your name to tens of thousands of dollars in student loans, you cannot afford any longer to let that lizard brain drive the bus. So what I want you to do, if you're in the middle of this decision-making process for college, I want you to pause, I want you to breathe, and I want you to run the numbers. I want you to make decisions with your prefrontal cortex, not your feeling. The stakes are just too high for anything else. See the college experience, it's not going to pay the bills after you graduate. It doesn't cut any interest rates. It doesn't trim your debt. It doesn't boost your starting salary, but it sure does feel good at the moment that you get accepted and you get that beautiful embossed letter in the mail that you've been accepted. It feels super exciting. It smells like freedom. It smells like all that hard work you did in high school. It's paying off. So we trade 5 years of student loans for concerts on the quad, overpriced meal plans, and more to-do things than you could ever even dream of doing. And when you get into college, you're going to find you're not going to even do half of the things that they advertise to you. So that college experience, it shifts the focus from the rational and the logical to the emotional and in the impulsive. It says, don't think like a grown-up. Just follow your heart, follow your passion, follow your dreams. But guess what? Student loans, they don't care about your heart. They're going to go after your wallet, though. You can be guaranteed of that. Worse, the college experience, it's a lie. It's a lie that's designed to trap young, well-meaning students in decades of debts that they just can't shake. And by the time the buzz wears off, the payments have already begun. So today's episode is about one parent, one decision, and one future hanging in the balance. Let's talk about why saying no to your kid, and I'm talking to you parents right now, might just be the most loving and financially brilliant move that you could make for them in their entire lives. So let's get into it. This question comes from Wrestling Pop 78. And this question haunts parents. And if you're a student listening, I want you to stay with me here. And I want you to follow through on this entire question, because you, even in the back of your mind, might just be thinking some of the same things. So I thought this would be a great one to explore. So here's the question, quote, my son wants to go to a college in which he will need to pull loans in the amount of roughly $17,000 for the next 5 years. He has the option to leave the state and go to this smaller college, private college, and pay almost nothing, but has his heart set on going to this more expensive school than that because, quote, he likes it more and there's more to do. Now, keep in mind the $17,000 is after a partial scholarship, financial aid, and and the rest of the FAFSA package. I promised him I would support him in his decision, but to the core of me, I feel like he's making the wrong decision. I'm trying hard to break down the financials and the ungodly amount of student debt he will be in upon graduating, but I feel his ego is getting in the way. Can anyone help me break it down on why he shouldn't take on this debt? Or are there any success stories out there? His major, criminal justice. Okay, so if that isn't a very, very common question that parents have, and actually I'm sure a lot of well-meaning, thinking high school students, young adults have too, like, Okay, I'm staring down the barrel of $85,000 in debt. I love this college. I like the feel. I like the vibe. There's more stuff to do. It's way better than that boring, cheaper college, but I don't know if I should do it. And here's your answer, Wrestling Pop. No, you should not do this. The return on investment on a criminal justice degree just simply will not justify that kind of a debt. Entry level salaries in criminal justice typically ranging from 40 to maybe 50,000 a year depending on your area. And what I'm doing, I'm helping a student. We're looking specifically in the job market where they may be. So I'm just taking a national average on that number. So if you take after taxes, for example, the rent, the transportation and living expenses, there's literally no room to pay down this massive loan quickly. Because if you take $85,000 in student loans, which is above the national average right now, you're looking at a monthly payment around $900 a month on a standard 10-year plan. And if you take $900 out of a typical $40,000 to $50,000 a year budget, and you take the cost of rent and everything that's involved there, this young man is going to barely be scraping by, and he surely is not going to have the kind of money that's going to be required to get rid of this debt early and pay it down quickly, because he has no margin in there. And so in an ideal world, he does immediately start making 40 to 50K in his field. But the reality is only half the students who ever go for a degree ever work in it. There is a high probability he won't even get in that field. So basically what he would be doing is he's borrowing Mercedes level money for a Corolla paying job. And that just simply doesn't work. The return on investment on that just does not pay off. The cheaper reason number two, I get it. I totally get it. You go to some of these private colleges, these especially small private colleges, they get to play sports. They get to be involved in all kinds of extracurriculars. They give X amount of dollars in scholarships, and it makes you feel good and important and wonderful. But the reality is that cheaper school, it's going to get this young man the identical degree. Employers in criminal justice fields care about the certifications, the training, the experience. They could care less, literally, where that degree came from. And that stands to reason in almost every single job. Both of the diplomas are going to say Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice, not, oh, by the way, this one had way better extracurricular activities and cost way more. Doesn't matter, doesn't show up, nobody cares. On the resume, you're going to have that same degree. Prestige means nothing. You take parole work, you take police academies, you take court clerking or corrections, no matter what angle this young man wants to go in the criminal justice field. Nothing. That prestige will do literally nothing for them. And then the third reason, emotional decisions make terrible financial ones. Statements like, quote, I like it more, or quote, there's more to do. These are feelings. These are not financial strategies. And one mindset shift to get away from with this college experience is young adults, parents, college is a financial transaction. You are going to give up X amount of dollars for X amount of time to gain Y credential. That's what it is. Nothing more, nothing less. You don't take out $85,000 in debt for better dorm lighting and a nicer gym. Does that make sense? Rationally, intellectually? Of course not. Teenagers often underestimate the long-term grind of debt. They see college life, not 10 or 20 years worth of bills. So it's time now to eliminate those emotional decisions when you're choosing and selecting a college. Reason number 4, a debt-free launch equals a freedom to pivot. This is something that not enough young adults and parents take into consideration. Graduating debt-free, it gives you a level of freedom in your adult life choices that maybe you just simply cannot do when you are shackled to $85,000, $100,000 in student debt. If you don't have any debt, and this young man graduates debt-free or very low debt, and yes, you can do it. I guarantee you there's ways you can get through college with little to no debt. But imagine this young adult who's got $85,000 in debt. And, when the father had mentioned it was, $17,000 or $15,000 a year in debt, that's just 1 year. The price of tuition goes up every single year. So the first year it might be 15 to 17. Second year, it's going to be 20 to 22. Third year, going to be 23 to 26. Fourth year, et cetera, right? So it's probably not going to be 85,000 in debt. It's probably going to be closer to $100,000 in debt. And you graduate with that kind of anchor tied to your ankle. Well, you want to switch careers? You better be super careful. You got a huge bill you got to pay. Move cities. Maybe this young man decides, I would love to just go and live in LA or New York or San Diego or some high cost of living state. Well, if you're buried in $1,000 or $1,200 a month in debt, there is no way with a criminal justice degree that you could ever even dream about it. Maybe there would be an opportunity for maybe an unpaid internship or externship that could put you in a position someday after the degree that could really catapult your career. Well, if you've got debt, you can't be working anything unpaid or low paying because you got a bill to pay. Or maybe you would love to take a job that you have a passion about and you would just love to do it, but the salary is too low for you to be able to pay off your loans. Debt locks you in. It leaves you no room for exploration. It leaves you no room for risk, and it forces you to have to delay things that in a young age you could possibly do if you did not have this anchor of student loan debt around you. I ask you this. Go out into the public forum, whether it's Reddit or Quora, and listen to the stories, because I hear them in college of students who are they're trapped. They're trapped in student loan debt. They can't get a car. They can't get an apartment. They can't go on a simple vacation anywhere because they have this gargantuan debt load around them. But if this young man will be smart, take his emotion out of the decision making, go with the low cost degree and end with almost none or low debt, he is going to win. He's going to have freedom to be able to explore life like all young adults should have that opportunity to do when they finish college. And then number 5 is a parent. I want you to hear this loud and clear. If you are a parent or you know someone who is a parent of a child that is considering an extremely expensive college, you are not just co-signing a loan. You're co-signing a life path. This just isn't his decision. It can be a family one, because that debt, I hear it over and over, it can become a shared stress for the entire family. You could end up having your child living back in your home because he literally cannot afford an apartment on his own anymore. You are allowed as a parent to push back when you see your child making a very preventable mistake. And it's just black and white. It's numbers on paper. So the parent who wrote that post, he was on the right track. He's trying to help his child see these decisions. But beyond just help, would you just let your child just walk over the edge of a cliff and say, well, it's his choice to do it, and in the end of the day, if he decides to jump off the cliff, what can I do? I'm just the parent. No, That is your child. That is a person that you have a vested, loving relationship for your entire life. So here's a strong and heartfelt, clear-eyed conclusion for Wrestling Pop 78, because I can see his heart's perfectly in the right place in asking this question. Try and deliver it to him with equal parts wisdom, compassion, and even empathy, because I totally get it. There is a seducing quality the way that so many colleges get marketed. It surely is. But you need to deliver that message to him. And it's time for him to hear something super important. And that would be no. We are not going to support you in this trip to this private college. We love you too much to just let you rack up this debt. And keep trying to show him the numbers. Show him what someone in criminal justice at $50,000 a year makes, what an average apartment and insurance and car payment and student loan payment, and add up all the debts and say, now you tell me how this makes sense. Because the most valuable lesson that you can offer in adulthood is that ability for your child to understand the word no and to accept it and go forward from it. The little word no, it's not a rejection. It's not a lack of love. It's a gift. It's armor. It's the boundary that keeps him from walking into a future that could just be shackled by debt he won't fully understand or appreciate until he finishes that degree and the payments start coming due. See, it's really hard, and it's almost diabolical the way the banks work with the schools to make certain that none of those bills come due until after the degree is over, after the 18-year-old is all of a sudden $100,000 in guaranteed student loan debt. And guess who never loses out ever when a young adult signs up for student loan debt? The bank never loses. In these guaranteed student loan scams, the bank is always made whole because the government is backing the loan. So they will give those loans out like popcorn, like candy, as long as a student will sign their name on the line. And the college, well, they get paid in full every single semester. So they don't lose out. The only one that loses out is the student. And so all young adults listening right now, you need to take control of this situation, because they will take advantage of you till the bitter end. You can use college to your advantage, not let them use you to get more and more wealthy off of them. So that's just the truth. It's that word no, it's the boundary that will keep him from walking into a future that's shackled by debt. Because life is hard. We don't always get what we want. If it was, it wouldn't be life. We'd be in heaven, right? And learning how to evaluate your hopes and your wants and your dreams through the lens of logic instead of just pure emotion, that's a skill that separates adults from kids, separates wisdom from impulse, and freedom from regret. Right now, this young man, he doesn't need another friend telling him to chase his feelings. He needs a father. He needs parents, a real one who has the guts to look him in the eye and say, I love you way too much to watch you chain your future to a bad financial decision. And that's literally what I would tell him if I could talk to him myself. You're not crushing this young man's dreams. He'll be able to achieve all his dreams once he's got that piece of paper and he's got a job. You're saving him from turning those dreams into a 10-year, 20-year payment plan with interest. You're keeping him from mistaking a marketing brochure for a road to success. They're not the same thing. And no, it's not easy. It takes courage to hold the line when everything you want to support him no matter what. You want him to have his dreams. I get it. But don't forget, support isn't always just saying yes to some ideas that a high school student has. Sometimes support is standing firm when they don't yet see the danger ahead. Sometimes love looks like a warning flare, not a cheer. So to the parent, I would say stand tall, say no, and when he gets through the fog, when he sees what you're trying to protect him from, he's not going to resent you. He's going to thank you. And that's real love. So that's it for the episode today. I appreciate you tuning in. It's a hard question, and it's not easy. And I don't mean to be just a negative person about someone's college dreams, but we have to take this in the context of what college is these days. We cannot let our lizard brain control our decision making when we're talking colleges that cost $200,000 in student loan debt. You know, when I was growing up, it maybe cost a couple grand to go to college, and I messed up many times. I switched majors multiple times. Oh my goodness, if I would have done that in 2025, I'd be in debt up to my eyeballs, because it wasn't such a high stakes game 25 years ago, but it is today. And so please, I implore you, if you're a young adult, if you're a parent, really dive deep into the numbers and eliminate the emotion from the process and look at the facts. So if this podcast, if it sparked something, challenged something, or gave you a new way to look at college and the career machine, I ask you just share it. Follow this podcast. Text this to a friend. Send it to a parent who's struggling on this. Post it where it might actually help somebody. And while you're at it, check out my new website, daviddhopkins.com. There's more waiting for you there, including full episode guides, tools to help this conversation further. Heck, even if you want to DM me about the situation, go to that website. You'll find me. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Maybe I'll even use it as a podcast topic. But we're not here to play the game. I'm not doing this series on education to play the game. We're here to reset our minds and win when it comes to college choices, career choices. So hopefully this helps you. But until next time, stay curious, stay sharp, and never stop asking the hard questions. I'm Dr. David D. Hopkins. Catch you on the next episode.